like I said, today we are looking at the box method. The box method, really, if you're familiar with Punnett squares, if you've taken biology and you're familiar with Punnett squares, that's what we're creating. We're creating the insides, or we're creating the outsides, I should say, of your quote-unquote Punnett square. But in this case, we're looking at specific terms in your polynomial. So in order to think about it, the first thing I want to look at is actually the area of a square. So these are the boxes that we're going to create every time we are factoring, if we're using the box method, a trinomial, okay? So, it says the dimension of a square shown below, find the area of the square. Well, how would this work? This would say, okay, I know x times 3x is what?
3x squared.
3x squared. Ooh, let me not use that electric green. 3x squared. Okay. 3x times negative 2 is? Negative 6x. X times negative 1 is? Negative x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is? 2. And guess what? We have our polynomial. 3x squared minus 6x minus x plus 2, which is 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. So what is our job? We're going to go from here to here. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do we do that? It's actually not that bad. So again, we're tackling the same problems. It's still 7, 6, but now the essential question is how can you factor ax squared plus bx plus c by the box method? All right, so we are continuing. Our essential question has changed just slightly. How can you factor ax squared plus bx plus c by the box method? You're still going to start the same way that we did yesterday, in the sense that you're always going to look for GCF. Just like yesterday, the first one didn't have a GCF other than 1, right? So we had to look at AC. Remember the AC busts the B thing? We're still going to do AC. It's still AC busts the B. So AC is what again? 12. All right. So this is what we're going to do. This is how you do this box method. In the upper left-hand corner, you're going to write 4x squared. In the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to write 3. And these two boxes, you're still going to think of what multiplies to be 12 and adds to be 13, like last time, which we said was 12 and 1, right? So you can either put 12x here or 12x here, it doesn't matter. But though the busted B part is going to be in these two boxes, in whatever order you choose, yeah? So all that we have to do, once we put it like this, is just look at GCS. So we're going to go row and then column. So let's look at our first row, our second row, and then our first column and our second column. So looking at our first row, we look at a 4x squared and an x. What can I factor out of these two? An x, right? Second row, what can I factor out of these two? A 3. First column, what can I factor out of these two? A 4x. Second column, what can I factor out of this? A 1, right? So guess what my answer is? 4x plus 1 times x plus 3. Yeah? The box method. It's nice. Now, just like FOIL, when we went over FOIL, first outside, inside, last, that was an acronym for to help us with the distributor property. I warned you with FOIL that would only work with binomials, right? Binomial times a binomial, not a binomial times a trinomial. The box method only works for a trinomial, right? Because think about it. If you have the same logic as a Punnett square, you only have room for 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, yeah? You only have room for so many terms. Now, when you look at this here, you couldn't use a box method, right? You wouldn't have enough space. So what would you do? You would have to factor by grouping here. That's why I taught you factor by grouping first. Because to factor something like this one that has an asterisk by it, you're going to have to group these two and group these two and factor it like we did before. So in this case, you could take out an x squared, and you'd be left with an x plus 3, and then a minus sign. You could take out a 6, and you'd be left with an x plus 3. So this factor is x squared minus 6 times x plus 3. Does that make sense? That's why, again, I taught you the grouping method first, because in a case like this, when you have too many terms and you can't really set up your box, then you are forced to do factoring by grouping or some other method that you'll learn in Algebra 2. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's do it again with the other ones, just to make sure you got a handle on this. You can work ahead of me if you want to. Again, I'm going to set it up in the same way. Look for my GCF. I don't have a GCF other than 1, so I'm going to find my AC and bust the B. So AC is 6. What is my P and Q? Yeah. So I have -6 and -1. And then upper left, 3x squared. Bottom, 2. Middle, -6x and -1x. Now, I do want to talk about the negative thing. Anytime you have a box here where you have a negative touching, then you have to factor out the negative. Does that make sense? So here it doesn't matter because we're just looking at, well, I'll show you. So the first row, what do we factor out? Not a negative because we don't have a negative touching the edge, yeah? So what do I factor out here? Just the x. Perfect. Okay. And then my second row, I have a negative touching the outer edge, so what do I factor out here? Negative what? -2, right? Because I'm looking at the row. And then I have my column and my column. I don't have a negative touching the edge here, so what do I factor out on top? 3x. I have a negative touching on top here, so what do I factor out? 1. So I get 3x minus 1 times x minus 2. So really the rule of thumb is if you have a negative on the outer edge, then you factor out that negative. If you don't, then don't factor out the negative. Yeah? Try the next one. Gonna do the next one while you're working on it. It's the same thing. When you're taking into account a negative, just like before, take the negative out. Take the negative out. So you switch the signs. Now that's 4x squared plus 8x minus 5. then as far as what you put in your box, you're gonna work with this, okay? Just ignore the negative and put it in the end with your answer, yeah? Does that make sense? So again, we're gonna ignore the negative, look for our GCF, we don't have a GCF, AC is negative 20. And so our P and Q, P equals 10, Q equals negative 2. And then we just set up our box with what's in the parentheses. So 4x squared is 5, negative 2, and positive 10x, x. Row and then column. And I want us to get used to row and then columns because in Algebra 2 when you're working with matrices, when you do matrix multiplication, it's always row by column. So if I start now, that's probably good. So let's start with the rows and then do the columns. So what can I factor out in this first row? 2x. What do I factor out in this second row? And negative 1. What do I factor out in this first column? A 2x. Why is it not negative 2? Yeah, because the 4 is not negative. Remember the outer edges. Okay, so 2x. And then what do I factor out here? A 5. And then so I still have my negative out front that I put over here. So I still have my negative right there, and then I just simply write 2x plus 5, 2x minus 1. And then again, if you do the distributive property, you can see that that's what you get with that negative out front. So you will get a 4x squared minus 2x plus 10x minus 5. So you have the negative out front, you have 4x squared plus 8x minus 5, which is what we wanted, right? Okay. That's the box method. Huh? Because when you're working with the GCF here, you only want to pull out a negative if the rule is if it's on the outer edge. So since when I'm looking at this column here, this negative 5 is when I'm factoring out that 5, right? And I'm looking here, directly above it, that's not negative, so I can't pull a negative out. When I'm looking here, that's not negative, so I can't pull a negative out. When I'm looking here, that's not negative, so I can't pull a negative out. Yeah. When I'm looking here, that is negative, so I will pull a negative out. Yeah? Okay. The last thing I want to address before I give you homework time is these again. So, however many you finished, continue on. And then we're going to check our answers. We are not done with these yet. So pull those out from last time. Pick up where you left off. You can do the box method. You could do the factoring by grouping method. Whatever method so far that you like the best, stick with that method. Any method you like. Any method you like. Which method do you like? Oh, that one? I know. I like to put 2 for some reason. I had to like relearn. I had to like learn this one last night. Because I'd never done that. if you're not doing that. Oh, I see. And you still have to complete it. Well, if you pull out your GCF, it can't just disappear off of your If you got it out, you still have to put it in. So if you just list them all out, what do you know goes with it? So, right. What else? Is that 6, 7, 8, 9? Like, what else? Oh, I'm still recording. Here we go. I had a little bit of a discussion before I pressed record, but I'm going to show you the answers of the problems from yesterday. The main point being, some of these problems are going to require you to use a factor tree, break it down to its product of prime factors, and work with combinations of those prime factors where you get two numbers that add up to be your middle term and multiply to be that AC. You have to do that when you're dealing with bigger numbers unless you can think of it in your head. Okay, so the answers to these questions are the following. One is 8 times the quantity x minus 1 times x minus 6. 2, 7x plus 5, 2x plus 3, etc., etc. Notice on 7, 8, and 9, they pulled out the negative because you have a negative leading coefficient. So you have to just pull it out, make the signs opposite, as I said before, and then either do the box method or the grouping method to factor. I said you're going to get a problem that asks for the intercepts, which I also call what? Starts with an R? Roots. And I said you will have to do what to find those roots? Solve the polynomial by factoring. And then setting that equal to 0. And then using your zero product quantity. So that's what you're going to do on these types of problems if you haven't already done that. So for this problem on number 30, you don't have to write it down if you don't want to. I'm just going to do my box method because that's the one I've been showing you. 4x squared negative 3 I don't have a GCF course, so my AC is negative 12. And then I can very easily think of two things that multiply to be negative 12 and add to be 11. What will they be? 12 and negative 1. 12x, x. Okay, first row, what can I factor out? An x. Second row, what can I factor out? A 3, yes. A 3. So an x, I have a 3. First column, 4x. Second column, 1. Ooh, I was like, wait, I should have a negative, right? Wouldn't that be a minus x? So that should be a negative 1. Yeah. So, x plus 3 times 4x minus 1. 4x squared minus x plus 12, 11x minus 3. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, then I set that equal to 0. Use my zero product property. X plus 3 equals 0. 4x minus 1 equals 0. What's one root? Negative 3. That makes sense. That's right there. What's another root? 1/4. That also makes sense. That's definitely less than half. Less than 1 and less than half. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay, that's how you do those problems. As promised, the assignment does not change other than the method. So I want you to do that exact same assignment that you just did, but I want you to do it with the box method.